Welcome to Islamic Life Coach School Podcast. Apply tools that you learn in this podcast and your life will be unrecognizably successful. Now your host, Dr. Kamal Akhtar.
Hi guys, Dr. Kamal Akhtar again with a mini podcast. Allah describes a Muslim to be a slave to him. Today we think about slavery and we think about chains and a person whose basic human rights are taken away. But humans are described as Abdullah, exact translation being slave to Allah. Despite the word slave in that phrase, that is the highest form of freedom. Let me explain to you why. See, humans experience everything through the filter of their brain. Our five senses are there to help us gather input, but ultimately the only way we can make sense of our external reality is through our brain. And we have already established that humans have two kinds of brains, lower and the higher brain. Lower brain gives results that keep humans low, following carnal desires, engaging in hedonistic behavior, addictions, anger, all are lower brain. Higher brain gives us results of a fulfilling, joyful, and prosperous life. So if you can have only two ways to live this life, then would you rather be enslaved to the lower brain that houses the whispers of shaitan, or the higher brain that leads you to Allah? Trust me guys, this is not a trick question. There's only one obvious answer. When we reject our path to Allah, we are enslaving ourselves to the lower brain, and that is not a fun place to be. If you are a human, you have no choice but to be enslaved by one type of brain or the other, because that is the design of biology here. Which one would you choose? Enslaving yourself to Allah frees you from your lower brain, and that, my friend, is the ultimate freedom. Defined like that, slavery is not such a bad idea after all. Let me add here that when I present this model, higher and the lower brain, I have made it painfully simple. I am not ignoring Islamic concepts of ruh and qalb, that is the spirit and the heart. I'm just simplifying these concepts to make it applicable and so we can take practical steps to get out of the suffering we create for ourselves in this world. Remember, it's all about application. Some people might call this too simplistic, but I don't think of it as a reductionist method. As always, I teach this concept from an abundance mindset. Inshallah, in an upcoming episode, I will have a chance to integrate all concepts of nafs, which is the self, usually the lower self, aql, intellect, ruh, spirit, qalb, heart. For now, we will stick to the lower brain, which is nafs, and the higher brain, or aql, which is God consciousness and the intellect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. So what are some ways to come out of the slavery of the lower brain or shaitan's grip? Here are a few things you can do. Number 1, do a thought output. I mean, it's not the first time I've said this, and it will definitely not be the last time. See what it is that you're actually thinking before you can even begin to identify if it is a higher brain or a lower brain thought. Another way is to identify what results you're getting in life. I encourage you to learn to solve the formula CTFAR. You will have incredible results, I promise you. A quick way to learn this is to set up an appointment with me for a free consultation, or you can review my previous podcasts. So if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see that at Islamic Life Coach School, we say nurturing your thoughts. I don't say dismiss your lower brain thoughts and only pay attention to your higher brain thoughts, but nurture all of them. Because if you don't pay attention to your negative thoughts, they will keep creating results and you will be convinced that things are just automatically happening to you. Thought output is one way to get out of that hamster wheel of actions where you keep doing things the same way and nothing productive happens. Number 2. This step has to do with science-based methods of identifying lower brain, also known as the primitive brain. By function, its job is to create fight, flight, or freeze response. Meaning, if you're angry and reactive from rage or on the edge, it is a fight response. If you're finding yourself to be afraid of something, for example, fear of public speaking, or if you find yourself avoiding something because facing it brings you discomfort, like avoiding admitting to your mistakes or avoiding exploring your talent, this is a flight response. So avoidance behavior is a flight response. If you find yourself stunned and can't respond to your situation, or are indecisive or procrastinate, this is a freeze response. All of these are lower brain origin. Number 3, lower brain functions under a motivational triad, which includes to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. Imagine 3 points of a triangle and these 3 being on each corner. Constant TV, social media, or food indulgences or sexual desires are all about seeking pleasure. That is one corner of the triangle. Other corner is conserving energy, meaning brain conserves energy by remaining tied to old habit patterns. Brain will go to extreme lengths to avoid thinking differently than what it currently thinks. That is the prime example of the brain being efficient and conserving energy, because creating new belief systems from the higher brain takes energy. The third corner of the triangle is avoiding pain, which we've already talked about in avoidance behavior. So use these definitions of the motivational triad, seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, and conserving energy, and identify where does it apply in your life. Number 4, I saved this one for last, but the most powerful one is when you recognize that you're acting from the lower brain, or if you're unable to identify your lower brain patterns, do your dhikr. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say your istighfar. Say a'udhu billah. Make dua. Make wudu. Pray nafil. Whatever it takes. Nothing engages the higher brain better than the remembrance of Allah. So use one of these techniques to identify if you are enslaved to the lower brain. Because let's face it, guys, enslavement to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through practicing of your higher brain is the best freedom this mortal, finite, temporary world can offer. You are to be enslaved to one or the other, so why not pick the right choice? Who are you enslaved to? So when Allah describes a Muslim to be a slave to Him, He knows that humans will create only failure by enslaving themselves to the nafs. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we stay out of the trap of enslavement to the nafs. I pray that you create a life of your dreams once you have enslaved yourself to the right ideal, and that is Allah Azza wa Jal. Thank you so much, guys, and I will talk to you next time.
If you're interested in getting coached by me, I'm offering a very affordable opportunity to do that with Wisdom Wednesdays. This is not a course, not a lecture. This is an opportunity for live coaching, real change with Islamic adab and etiquette. You do not need more information. You actually need a space to create change. At $19.99 a month, which is the price of takeout dinner, you as a Muslim woman will create confidence, intimacy, and connection without shame or fear of judgment, because your privacy is my highest priority. So join at www.islamiclifecoachschool.com, resources, Wisdom Wednesdays. I'll see you inside, inshallah.